This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some major updates to share with you. President Biden just signed a new executive order, and it is not the student loan forgiveness. Speaking of that, student loan forgiveness may not actually happen via executive order. It might be held up in courts and could not happen at all. I'll give you more details on that. Gas-powered cars banned in California, meaning nobody could drive gas cars in California anymore. I'll give you more details on that. We'll go over the latest stimulus news like this. Financial help is still coming from the Biden administration. Will you get a check? And thousands of Americans to get new $1,400 relief check. Plus, there's also new $500 stimulus checks being given out. And I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So let's get into this big news first. President Biden signs executive order kickstarting implementation of sweeping U.S. chip manufacturing law. So what is this all about? Well, this executive order demonstrates that we are quickly executing on the president's vision of a 21st century American industrial strategy. What does all this mean? Well, I even looked on the White House website right here, Executive Order on the Implementation of the CHIPS Act of 2022. Read this whole thing, and it's just talking about the CHIPS bill and basically how it's going to, I guess, move along faster. So in terms of this executive order, not really sure what this is going to do, and it's not going to directly affect Americans personally. Just wanted to let you know that so you know what's going on with the truth. And California bans the sales of new gas-powered cars by 2035. Now the real work begins. So can you imagine a state or a country or a world with no gas-powered cars? Other states are actually moving in this direction as well. In theory, I like it. I think it's cool. Kind of like the movie I, Robot with Will Smith, having a bunch of electric self-driving cars and robots doing all of your work, cooking for you and cleaning your house. It all sounds good in theory, but is it practical? I don't know. Take a look at this video clip right here explaining more.
State regulators voting unanimously late today to put the internal combustion engine on the extinction list. They passed a new rule that bans the sale of new gas-powered cars by the year 2035. California is the first state to take action like this, and it could prove to be a watershed moment for the electric vehicle movement. According to the California Air Resources Board, about 12% of new cars sold in the state last year were zero emission. The new rule requires California to reach 35% of sales by 2026. 4 years later, 68%, then 100% by 2035. Ahead of the vote today, the board heard from advocates on both sides of the issue.
I tried to buy a gas vehicle, a gas truck, medium-sized duty truck. They're not available. I don't know how you're going to come up with all these electric medium-sized vehicles when you can't even buy a gas vehicle right now in the time that you allotted here.
The crisis requires immediate action. As transportation is the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in California, ensuring that we accelerate the transition to a zero-emission vehicle future is imperative to prevent the worst effects of climate change from occurring.
Now, to be clear, the rule does not affect gas-powered cars that are already on the road, but the decision could have a big impact beyond California. It paves the way for other states to follow suit. So far, at least 15 other states are expected to pass their own bans on sales of new gas-powered cars. Jessica Caldwell's with us. She's the executive director of Insights at Edmunds. Jessica, thanks so much. You know, those who opposed this today kept saying it's too much too fast. Is 13 years realistic?
100% is always really hard to get to, but I think that probably is a good guidepost for the auto industry. We need to put something in the sand that automakers need to work towards, because this is not a technology that is made and produced in a really quick period of time. So I do think that over a long period of time, it is possible. However, I do think that all of these milestones and these stepping stones are going to be probably evaluated and making sure that they match up with the marketplace. I don't get the sense that this is absolute and there's not any room for some wiggle room if the market doesn't look like it's heading that way, or the automakers themselves cannot produce these vehicles.
So what are your thoughts on that? No more gas-powered cars. I think if electric vehicles were cheaper and faster to charge and charge stations everywhere, kind of like gas stations, maybe it could work. Let me know your thoughts on that. But right at the moment, electric vehicles are pretty expensive. But I think maybe once the price goes down and the technology is there to charge them quick, maybe it could be good. Maybe it could work out. Let me know your thoughts. The fate of student loan forgiveness may rest with the courts. So student loans may actually not happen at all. They could be held up in court. So despite President Biden making this big announcement and executive order before the people's $10,000 in student loans could be forgiven, they could actually this whole thing could just fall apart and unravel. So that's where Republicans stand with that. And it also brings up the question, is President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan unfair or a win for all? Well, if you have student loans, it's probably awesome and a win for all. If you don't have student loans, paid them off, or you just never have them at all, it's probably unfair. If you look at it from both sides, when asked a lot of the pro-student loan forgiveness Democrats in interviews, a lot of them just kind of changed the subject. It's hard to justify paying for someone else's loans if you don't have any yourself or if you're not benefiting from it. just kind of laying out the facts there. But take a look at this video clip right here, basically saying how student loans may not even happen, how it could be taken to court.
Dead wrong, huh? Well, South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace joins us now. Good morning to you. Let's start right there. Do you think this is responsible and fair?
Well, truth of the matter is it is irresponsible and unfair. We should not be forcing blue-collar workers to pay for the education of folks who are going to college, university, law school, or getting their MBAs. And I think about my HVAC repairman. His name is Tommy. I went to high school with him. Tommy should not be paying for my kid's college education. That's unfair. He works hard to provide for his family. And there's probably outrage amongst blue-collar workers across the country. And I think this opportunity Biden sees to buy votes from Americans might backfire in November.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. That was my next question. Some critics do argue that this is purely an effort to buy votes. But do you think it's going to work? And why do you think it's going to backfire?
Well, the president knows, rightly so, that he doesn't have the power to write off the debts of students going to college. Nancy Pelosi said as much last year that he just doesn't have the power to do that. It would literally take an act of Congress to make this happen and or be decided in the courts and may go as far as the Supreme Court. But when I talk to hardworking South Carolinians, they're outraged by the fact that they're going to pay for somebody to go to law school. That doesn't make any sense to Tommy, my HVAC repairman, or anybody else, Waffle House waitresses, etc., across the country. In no world does that make any sort of sense.
You know what's interesting? I was just looking at this University of Pennsylvania Wharton budget model. That's quite a mouthful. It says even with the income gap, it gives 69% of the benefits to borrowers in the top 60% of income distribution. So you're giving a $90,000 bonus to doctors, a $55,000 bonus to lawyers. I mean, how is that reasonable and fair? It's just not.
No, it's not at all. And where's the focus on vocations? We have millions of Americans across the country who are struggling for work, who are struggling to get their children educated so they can get a good job when they graduate from high school. Many Americans can't afford to go to college because taxpayers have subsidized college and thus prices have gone up. That's where our focus really should be in this country, and it's just not.
Do you think this will end up in the courts, to your earlier point?
I think it has to. I don't think there's any way that you can have the President of the United States intervene in contracts for loan repayments. That's not a possibility. The left and Democrats have said so in the past, as recently as last year. And I do think this will end up as a case in court and could go as high as the Supreme Court.
Very interesting. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Congresswoman Nancy Mace. We appreciate your comments this morning.
So, student loan forgiveness may not even happen, and that would be a huge disaster for President Biden and the Democrats going into the midterm elections. It's possible. It could happen. But you would think that the Biden administration would do all of their due diligence to make sure that it was actually legal. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated on that. Let's give some stimulus updates here. Financial help is still coming from the Biden administration. Will you get a check? So what this is talking about is many Americans are hoping for a fourth stimulus check, but a total of 21 states are sending out payments to residents. Much of the money for these payments comes from the Biden administration, which gave billions to states in the American Rescue Plan Act. So basically, with this headline, although the money is coming from the Biden administration, it was distributed to states, and states have a choice to do whatever they want with that money. And out of the 50 states, 21 states have given out stimulus checks, or are going to give out stimulus checks, or it's in the works, already gave it out. Here are all the 21 states here. I did a video maybe a couple of days ago giving the latest updates of which states are giving how much money. I'll do that in a little bit, but it's just in this article, it's just listing all the states. I'll definitely give another update roundup of all the different states and the amounts of stimulus checks. But another one here, thousands of Americans to get new $1,400 relief checks. See if you're eligible for direct payment. So more than 2,200 residents in Iowa will receive the money, which is being funded from a $3.4 million pot. So yeah, this is in Johnson County, Iowa, and it's going to give out $1,400 checks there. New announcement here, this one just came out, $500 stimulus check from credit union to help employees offset inflation. So this is going out to about 1,200 employees. They're each getting a one-time payment of $500 checks. And yeah, those are the latest in terms of stimulus checks going out, but we're still hearing it on a regular basis. So stay tuned, stay subscribed, or subscribe if you haven't already for more of these type of check updates. And hit the like button if you like how I get straight to the point, give you the facts, show you the sources, keeping it short and sweet, or at least I try to, not kind of ramble on. Like I am now. But anyways, if you want to, hopefully to cheer you up a bit, here is my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, I want to tell you the one thing that you can do to yourself. Be kind, be smart, and also you have to be kind to your mom, your daddy, or your brother, or sister, or anything that you want. And also you have to be kind to yourself.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support, and I really mean it when I say that every time. I really do appreciate your support. So we are actually going to get ready for our trip today, leaving today. So I'm going to try to give you a video update for tomorrow. Tomorrow, which is my daughter's birthday. I might get one early before everyone wakes up. We'll see, but tomorrow is my daughter Bella's birthday, the 28th. So, and I'll give you an update where we are, what we're doing, all that fun stuff. But anyways, if you want to check out any of my other videos, you could click right up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.